Hello, everybody. Welcome back. YouTube.com/Geek Aloud. This is Thursday night, 8:30 p.m. Therefore, it is the Gaming Enforcement Agency, and I can happily and confidently say it is episode 124 of the Gaming Enforcement Agency. Unfortunately, middle slot is vacant. Unky Dunky, maybe he's come under the weather. I'm not sure, from the Tokyo Game Show. But third slotting it, as always, Bully holding us up. Sir, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing very well, my friend. I think he's getting very close to being retrenched from his non-paying role here.
Look, the finances can't stretch to his $0 budget for his appearances. Sorry, Unky, you're on notice. But I can tell you that confidently we do have 4 games this week for games interrogation and deliberation. There might be a slight spelling mistake in the Google Doc there. Then we have a cold case. Bully has kicked the lid off his esky, dove back into the archives to pull one out, and then we have this week's Most Wanted. No spoilers here, but Battlefield 6, baby! Woo! I can't wait. I think there's about 1 day and 3 or 4 hours at this point until I'm going back hands-on into the trenches of Battlefield 6. No spoilers. And then we're off into the newsrooms. Bully, have you tightened the laces? Have you kicked your doors in? And if so, how many?
Oh, I have, my friend. We've got 3 for this evening. A little bit late on one of them, but we weren't here last week, so I think it's something we need to cover.
Oh, look, we don't want to lay any blame, but that middle slot may have had something to do with it. We are on jury. With that being said, we are into games interrogation and deliberation. Whom could possibly lead investigate? Game 1, we'll find out in a minute. Bully, my friend, this looks a lot like a Sucker Punch production, and I have to do a little bit of tidy up here, and this was my error from last week or 2 weeks ago. I suggested that it was Insomniac Games that did the infamous series, and of course it was Sucker Punch, who are this week's developers for games interrogation and deliberation. Game 1, Bully, over to you. Tell me things, mate.
Well, obviously the big release in the last week, Ghosts of Yotei, the follow-up to Ghost of Tsushima. Not sure how much time you put into it, Troy. It's one of those games for me. I'm about 20 hours in and about probably 35-40% the way through at the moment. But there's parts of it I'm really enjoying, and there's other parts that the biggest difference I noticed with this is that they're really trying to I guess tell more of a story and more of a background to the story that they didn't. I mean, they got into it in Ghost of Tsushima a little bit, but it was more about what was happening at the time and what you were going through and you know, the story as it was unfolding in front of you. With this one, it's a lot of back and forth. So there's a lot of reminiscent scenes. There's a lot of cutting back to when you were a child.
Can I interject right there?
Shoot.
2 things I want to say. One, I love the, oh gosh, now I'm blanking on his name, Pulp Fiction, Quentin Tarantino storytelling of jumping all over the shop in the timeline and then delivering it. I think that's brilliant. My second question, then it's back over to you very quickly, mate. Did you get the vibe that this game is telling the similar story? And I still can't put my finger on it, but name me, Bully, another story in which at the start you get a list of 6 bad guys and then you spend the rest of the single-player campaign going after the bad guys. I can't put my finger on it, but I'm like, I know I've done this exact trope before. I'm like, was it a Ubisoft game? I don't know who it was, but I very much feel like this style of storytelling, other than Quentin Tarantino's awesomeness in film, has been done before. Back to you.
Well, it's very similar, I suppose, to the Assassin's Creed games in that, especially the later ones, where you're given this unknown triangle of people, I suppose. Whereas this one, you pretty much know who you're hunting. Whereas the Ubisoft ones, the Assassin's Creed ones, you're sort of given this, you know, there's 30 bad guys that you need to try and track down, get to the clues, hunt them down, all the rest of it. Whereas this sort of just flows from one to the next to the next. You don't really have a choice of which order you take them on in, and you just sort of flow from one area to the next area, and each area that you flow through is the next bad guy that you sort of tackle.
I'm dying to interrupt you again, and I apologize. It wasn't my intent. First question, during the intro of the game, pre-chapter 1, I don't know what they call their little sash hangy bit of belt, but you sit there and you do your, I don't know, calligraphy, and you write out the 6 sort of main villains, one of which is a brother, so it's a duo. But my first question for you, Bully, when you had to write out the names in Sanskrit or whatever, did you just sit there doing figure eights on the trackpad the way I did? I'm like, skip it, let me get into the action. I'll just do figure eights and let's go.
Well, it's funny because that was one of the things I didn't mind. It was something a little different that you don't see in other games. And it only lasted 30 seconds or so. I was quite happy to roll through it. And
I could have done with a 5-second interrupt, honestly. Sorry.
There's other things that it's sort of you can do, but skip through. Once you've done it once or twice, you sort of get it. Like lighting a campfire, you can, scrape your flint and then slowly get the embers going, and it takes you 30 seconds or whatever. You can just hit skip. So once you've done it once, you sort of go, okay, I'll get how it is now, and you just skip it from then on in. So there's plenty of those, but then I suppose that's what I was sort of getting at with the story is it because it jumps forward and back so often with not just you might be in the middle of a mission and then something will happen that'll jog your memory from when you were younger, and I'm probably not giving too much away because this all happens in the first couple of minutes. But
you're fine.
Your character Atsu is basically left an orphan, so she lives at the start with a mother, father, and brother, and they're all killed, and then that's where your vengeance story comes from to go after the clans that sort of took out your family when you've gone away and grown up a little bit. So that's, as I said, not really giving away too much of the story as such, but that's the sort of opening part to it. So a lot of it is the flashbacks to when you were younger, when you still had your family and all the rest of it. And it's not even just that there's flashbacks, but there's also, like in this opening area that you can see here, that was your family farm that you revisit as an adult. You can actually hold the touchpad down, and it takes you back for these activities in the past. So it sort of takes you out a little bit as you're trying to start to get into it. So those sort of things sort of drag me out a little bit. But in terms of the actual gameplay itself, once you get into that, the exploration is just as good, if not better, than the original game.
Can I interrupt briefly and just point out, I was so distracted in this scene. Look at your sleeve here on your left wrist. It's flapping like the breeze is running at 40 knots an hour. And then look at your mum's garb, zero motion at all. I was so distracted by the fact that your sleeves were going hectic and hers weren't moving at all. Sorry, back to you.
Oh, hers is tighter. That's probably why. So I suppose, yeah, that's what I was sort of getting. Once you get into the world itself and you start exploring, it's got that really natural exploration to it, in that you might see something off in the distance that if you're paying attention as you're working your way through the world and riding around, you can actually you find things pretty easily. It's not like this scavenger hunt where you've got to try, I've got to go to every little corner of the map to try and find something. You'll be riding somewhere and you'll see a tree that stands out because of its color, or you might see a little gate or an ornament or a figure or a signpost or something that if you're paying attention to while you're going along, you sort of go, okay, well, this is something here, and then that'll lead you to a hot spring or to a different sort of side activity. That's how you upgrade your character stats along the way. So that exploration, I'm really enjoying.
I love it.
Once you're getting into the actual fighting mechanics, I've really enjoyed that as well. It's very much it pays to be defensive before you're offensive in the game. So
can I ask you just on that, where are you putting your skill points?
I was sort of
parrying.
I was sort of spreading them out across all of them, to be honest, and just sort of working my way up slowly. But I've really enjoyed the and it depends as well, because you can get the charms that you can use as well, and each one of those will have different effects. So there was one that I got that increased the window for the parry, but it took away your ability to hold the block button down as a permanent sort of, I'm getting hit from every side here, I'll just hold block down and get my way out of it. It takes that ability away. So there's different variations in the builds that you can create depending on how you want to play. But I've really found that the best way to do it is to go into a fight, work out each different enemy type has different weapons and a different attack styles and all that sort of stuff. So work out what you're up against, defend against them initially, and then go on the attack. And then you start getting other throwable weapons and different weapons as you progress through the game. So you start off with a katana, which is a good all-round sort of weapon, and then you move on to a dual katana, which is good against spears, but not good against a single katana. So, do
you ever unlock the base katana? Oh, sorry, that was terrible. Ignore me. Continue.
So yeah, really, as I said, about 20 hours in, really enjoying it. It is starting to. I've had a look that I think the platinum time on it is about 50 to 60 odd hours. So I would imagine that if you just sort of punch through the story, I would be suggesting somewhere in the 30 to 40 hour mark for the main story and a couple of the side quests and that sort of stuff. So for mine, if it's something that you want to really invest your time into and spend a lot of time in, there's certainly a lot of things to do in the world. But for me, it's at 20 hours in and not even halfway there. And I've been doing all the side activities and going off exploring and all that sort of stuff. So that's sort of expanding the time out a little bit. But as I'm progressing, I'm sort of finding myself to the point where I sort of go, okay, I'm starting to lose a bit of patience with what's going on because it just sort of drags out things so much. And even the storytelling, like you'll get to these parts where it'll try and progress the story or provide context around the story, but it seems to go for an extraordinarily long amount of time where you'll listen to someone talk, but then you've got to follow them for 5 minutes to a particular point, then speak to them again, and then go and do the activity. And it just sort of drags those sort of things out unnecessarily, in my opinion. Yeah. Whereas you could have been just given the quest, all right, this is what we need. Yep, no worries. I'll keep that on board while I'm off exploring. And when I come across it, I'll deal with it. But it forces you to follow the character that you need to help in some instances, which I'm finding really frustrating. So, I mean, overall, I think it's an improvement on the first game. In a lot of ways, I don't think the storytelling's an improvement on the first. I think a lot tighter sort of in that aspect would have been a lot better, I would have thought. So it's probably sitting as an overall, it's probably sitting just below the first one and probably about an 8 for me at this stage.
Yep, that's fair, mate. For me, it's on par with the first one. I love the first one. I am only 1 hour and 20 minutes, I think, into the second one. I've had a bit of life going on recently, so I haven't had a whole lot of time to game. I threw in my hour 20 into this today and absolutely loved it. I loved a whole bunch of little changes. I love the white pedals that if you ride through on your white pedals, you get like a speed boost on your mount. I thought that was very cool. I was slightly dismayed that they had I think I saw it 3 times in an hour 20, I don't know what the correct term is, but I'm going to call it a herd of horses sort of galloping in a direction, but very much like the wind, like, hey, go this way. But the horses had this really janky shoulder move. And I'm like, oh, guys, if you're going to make it so prevalent in the first hour of the game, at least make it a smooth animation. I love the use of the horses, but the animation just needed a bit more time in the cooker, I thought. But I loved it. I love their tutorial section, the way they had you Quentin Tarantino style, as I already said, like drop back in time and learn your skills when you're a kid and then flick forward and run off and slay dudes. I thought that was brilliant. I absolutely love Bully. I don't know if you saw it, and I'm pretty sure it wasn't in the first game, but they did this thing where it felt very dynamic in a fight, but I was fighting 4 dudes, and I just lopped one dude's forearm off, like mid-forearm. I chopped his hand off. It dropped on the ground. He just stood there and looked at it, and I just kept mowing him down with my sword while he was looking at his severed limb. And I just thought that dynamic character animation wasn't in the first one, and it was in my opinion, a massive step up for the second one in the immersion of the game. Like this notion of being shocked by losing a limb and totally dropping your defenses and then just being open for a throat shot or a stomach shot. I think they've done some phenomenal things with it. Obviously, the wind move was prevalent in the first one, but I think they've done so much more with it in this one, like the leaves on the ground. I don't feel like the leaves in the ground kicked up in the first one. Maybe they did. It's been a while since I played it, but they really played into that sort of visual, like go this way. It wasn't just leaves falling from the top. It was leaves coming up from below. And as I already mentioned, the horses, like the pack of horses, running off in a certain direction, and then the white leaves, pedals, like you run through them, you go quicker, but they're also like big arcs off towards the points of interest. They've just done phenomenal work with the really sort of subtle storytelling. They've absolutely nailed it. I love it. One of the other things I'll shout out, but it's just because I'm a nerd, the default setting was English with no subtitles. I feel like for the last 2 years we've been plagued with every game's default is subtitles on, which I hate. And the fact that this game, which obviously sort of native foreign language, but they were like, no, native, we'll give it to you in your language and no subtitles. I was like, thank you. I appreciate that. I loved it. I thought that was brilliant. And they've got a bunch of different modes in there, you know, black and white vision, ultra blood splatter modes, those sort of things. Bully, you mentioned something, and I'm blanking on it now, but there was a setting in the menu that when you were talking, I was like, oh, you could flick a menu option, and then that was totally alleviated, but I've totally blanked on it right now as to what it was. Anyway, I think it's brilliant, but I'm only an hour 20 in. I love everything about it, and I can't wait to dive deeper into this world. Platinumed the first game, loved everything about it. So, and to your point, Bully, this game at this stage feels to me totally on par. Like, there's been a few incremental upgrades, as I mentioned, but with 2 years past or 3 years past since the game's sort of really hit the sort of forefront, I expect a few little marks up, and that's what they've made. They haven't knocked my socks off yet, but they've totally matched the first game for me. Sorry, Billy. Any final points, or should we move on?
No, I think I agree with you entirely in terms of the world building and what they've done. One of the other things that, and you mentioned with the wind as your guide, without any quest markers, you know, to sort of follow. So, what I'm really finding is the difference with this one that I'm enjoying is you can see the leaves, and you mentioned the leaves floating around. I'm less reliant on having to flick the D-pad up to get that huge gust of wind, because you can just go about your way in the world, and you can see, oh, the leaves are floating in this direction. That must be where I'm supposed to go, and you can follow that. And more often than not, you'll just see some light puffs occasionally, sort of showing you the direction that you need to be in, rather than having to rely consistently on flicking the touchpad up to get that huge gust of wind. So, like all those little touches, I 100% agree with you. That is far superior to the first game. It's just like I said, the storytelling and the way they've gone about it from a cutscene and interactive perspective is a little bit lacking from the first, but the world itself is far head and shoulders above the first one.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. I love everything about it. I can't wait to dive deeper into Ghost of Yotei over the coming weeks. But Bully, as I understand it, you've been diving deep into Silent Hill F, which is game 2 this evening, mate. Tell me things.
Well, I have it. It's a bit of a departure from the normal Silent Hill, which is sort of set in modern times. This is set in, I think it's the 1950s or 1960s Japanese town. So it's very much got a lot of the, if you've ever seen a Japanese horror movie, it's got a lot of those tropes of, you know, the screams and in the background that as you're sort of wandering around the town, it's got that sort of stuff. It's still got that the fog mechanic that is prevalent in a lot of Silent Hill games, but it's very whereas even in the remake, Silent Hill 2 remake, I found it was there, but it didn't really add as much to it as I would have thought. Whereas
if I can interject, in the original Silent Hills, they had to put it in as a hardware limitation. Yeah. They had RAM issues. They had memory constraints that they had to deal with. And the way they dealt with it was by adding that fog, which, yes, environmentally did add to the storytelling, but was an absolute necessity from a hardware standpoint, which by now is totally alleviated. They have no, like, yes, they do have upper limits of RAM and memory constraints, but they don't really play to the narrative. So the only reason they're here in this game is to pay homage to the original game. Back to you.
No, well, I was going to say, in the remake that came out a couple of years ago, so the Silent Hill 2 remake, where they kept it in that, I don't think it added a heck of a lot to the game itself. Whereas in this one, it's very much part of the environment, that it's as you're sort of working your way through, it doesn't seem out of place, or it doesn't seem that it's just put there to make it, you know, scarier, or, you know, that you can't see what's coming. You can quite often see what's coming from from a fair way away. It's just that it's emerging out of the fog from a distance, and I think that really lends into the gameplay style with this as well. It's the I've really enjoyed I haven't got to the point of getting any firearms or anything like that, so I'm not sure if you come across that, but certainly early on you do get melee weapons to start using, and the way that they've incorporated that with, you know, using heavy attacks and light attacks and timing your attacks against the enemies that are coming at you, I think has been really well put together. It's quite again, the Silent Hill 2 remake was more just a bit of a you know, as soon as you see an opening, just whack, whack, whack with whatever melee weapon you've got. Whereas this one, you've got to take into account what the enemies do. Are they about to attack you? Can you dodge it? Can you step to the side and then hit them with a heavy attack that stuns them and then follow that up? Or are you having to sort of sit back and wait for them to come at you, or do you go at them? So there's that sort of balance there that you got to work through as well. So I've been quite enjoying it, but it'll probably lead into the cold case down the track that, you know, after about 4 or 5 hours in, I was enjoying it to some degree, but it wasn't really, you know, sort of roping me in entirely. And it's funny because I sort of found that with the Silent Hill 2 remake as well. It was okay. It was enjoyable to some degree, but it never really, you know, roped me in that I sort of go, oh, I can't wait to get home today and throw it in and have a crack at it. It was sort of like one of those ones where I go, oh yeah, I haven't played that for a week. I might throw it back in and see how it goes. So it's good. The environment's really good. The story's there. It's all sort of there if you're a Silent Hill fan. I think it's just I've enjoyed them. I've just never been the biggest Silent Hill fan. So it loses a little bit for me in terms of that.
Can I offer you something that's totally abstract and sideways, but for me, to help me get back into this game, what I found was watching Netflix's what is it? Demon Hunters, something. The 3 anime chicks film that just came out, Demon Hunters, and then there's 3 more words after that I'm blanking on. But go watch Demon Hunters on Netflix, bully, and then come back to Silent Hill. I think you'll be far more engrossed in the narrative. It helps set the spooky tone.
Well, we'll see how we go. I think I could probably explain more once we get to the cold case, and then go from there, I reckon.
Fair enough. All right, then let's tee off into everybody's golf hot shots. Now, I've been playing a bit of this, and I am 69 hours into my PGA. What was last year's? 24, 25?
25, I think.
Yeah, 25 sounds right. So I'm 69 hours into PGA 25. I've maxed out season 1 of the Golf Pass. I'm about 60 levels into season 2. I absolutely love that game. There is nothing more enjoyable to me than just sitting down and just listening to a podcast and knocking a few holes in, especially with the DualSense Edge and using those back triggers to tee off. That it in no way affects my old man hands, my arthritis, and I can just sit here and go tee. Everybody's golf hot shots? No. I got to say no. For me, someone who loves PGA Tour, this game, and it's as simple as they've got the marker that goes from left to right across the screen. I found a modifier that allows you to do like a hook up to 90%, but it's kind of just like a hook up and hook down. Honestly, if they just added the 3-tap hit or hold tap from PGA Tour, I would be all about this game. But the left or right to left motion of the input, as you can see here on screen now, it drives me nuts. And that is the only barrier of entry, and I cannot clear it. I think I'm about 8 hours in, but all of those 8 hours, I'm constantly annoyed that I can't have a good tee-off option. Bully, what's your history with everybody's golf or hot shots, I think it was called? Because
it depends in which region you're in.
Yeah, they called a couple everybody's golf. They called a couple hot shots, and I'm totally confused as to where I'm at in the lineage.
Oh, they're all the same. It just depends on what region you're in as to whether it was everybody's golf or hot shots golf. And I think they've just as they've gone back and revisited the franchise, they've just gone, let's just mash it together, hence the title, and then we capture everyone that might have played one variation or another. So
they've just confused me, but anyway.
No, it's funny because I've even going back to the PS2, I remember playing it. The PSP, it was on there, I think, as well.
Yeah, it was.
I really enjoyed this, and it's different in that, and I understand what you're saying, in terms of the different way that you take your shots and the control input from it. But I just sort of see this as more of a fun arcadey game as opposed to the PGA games, which are a more realistic sim style type thing. There's a game mode in this where you can challenge an opponent, and depending on where you hit your ball, you get different power up modifiers for yourself or power down modifiers that you can use on your opponents and stuff like that. You can play traditional golf as well, but they've got all these extra things thrown in there.
I haven't noticed the closest to the pin mode, Bully. Have you got any thoughts on closest to the pin modes in golf games?
Well, I do, but I'm not sure you'll scratch out of it. But I really enjoy it for what it is. It's an arcadey take on golf, and even as you get further in and your skill set gets up, I'm not sure if we'll see it on any of the footage here, but
nope,
you can start pulling off some wild sort of stuff, like your approach shot that you could go, oh no, I've hit that too hard, and then put some wild backspin on it that lights up the green and then comes directly back, is just unrealistic in real golf. But in this, it'll come back 20 meters because you put so much backspin on it or side spin or whatever it is. So I really enjoyed.
Is that mid-flight or pre-collision?
I think you can do it sort of like, so as in the ball's in flight and you can go, like after you've taken your shot,
really?
you go, oh no, I've hit it too hard. I need to top spin it, or I need to back spin it, or side spin it, or whatever it is. But
so what you're telling me is I need to read more tooltips, because I haven't been taking any advantage of that and just been annoyed at myself.
You see that you need to unlock it through different balls that you can get, and skill sets and all that sort of stuff will unlock it down the track. But again, I've really enjoyed it. It's one of those things that I find you can just throw it in, have one or two games, and that sort of gets you through. And you do that a handful of times a week. But I've really enjoyed it. I get where you're coming with the control scheme, because it can be very difficult to get. I find it very difficult to get the full bar up to 100%. I always find myself just a little bit short of that. And then coming back the other way, trying to get that spot on, it's sort of 50-50 depending on sort of how you're traveling. But I did see, and I haven't seen any updates for it, but I know when it was initially released in, was it late August, early September, somewhere in there, that there was a few performance issues with it. So when you've got a game like this where you're relying on pinpoint accuracy with your button pressing, if you're getting some stuttering or some frame dips or whatever, then that will cause significant issues with the way you play it. So I haven't put it in a week or so. So I'm keen to see if there's been any updates or patches that have been thrown in to make that a bit easier. But otherwise, I'm really enjoying it. I like it, as I said, just to throw in for a little bit, an hour or so, and have a couple of games and bounce out.
Fair enough. It launched the 5th of September, and I put in a few hours over the past month, and I put in about another 30 minutes today, and they have definitely tightened up the control scheme. Playing it for the half an hour today, I don't know when the last patch dropped, but they have certainly tweaked it and made it far more responsive, which is great. But still, just that arcadey left to right, I'm like, give me my whole tap. I love it. If you're a fan of the series, you're going to be a fan of this. If you're a fan of PGA Tour, I'd say maybe just keep playing PGA Tour. Maybe a few more updates and they'll get it there, but it's not quite there yet, in my opinion. I'll tell you what is there, Bully. If you're a fan of Vampire Survivors, you've got to go hands-on with Deep Rock Galactic, and it's included in Xbox Game Pass. If you're an Xbox Game Pass subscriber, you can be checking this out at no additional cost. You just need to know on the way in, and I don't know why this isn't on a massive banner on the top. Vampire Survivors fans, check in here. This is a Vampire Survivors clone. Obviously, there's a bunch of mods, not mods, but changes to the core formula. But if you love I just want to run around with my left stick and let everything else deal with itself, Deep Rock Galactic is for you. No additional cost on Xbox Game Pass, so definitely worth checking out. If you love Vampire Survivors, you're going to love this. Obviously, it's a lot better looking than the sort of, 8, 16-bit, call it Vampire Survivors. I'm going to go with 8-bit. But if you love that gameplay, you're going to love it here. It's everything you want and need in a game. Bully, I know you're not the biggest Vampire Survivors game fan, mate, but looking at this vision on screen, anything grabbing you?
Potentially. I was just having a quick look then. So when you put it on the sheet, Deep Rock Galactic was a third or first person mining sim type game that came out a couple of years ago, and I was going, that's not what I remember playing, and I just had a quick look. So that this is a different release, Deep Rock Galactic Survivor.
Oh,
so
Vampire Survivors. So they did put it in the title.
They did put it in the title. So there you go. That's why it sort of threw me for a loop. And I sort of thought when I was on there, oh yeah, I played Deep Rock Galactic and I wasn't really impressed with it. But yeah, I mean something. I don't know. Has anybody still got Game Pass now? I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm sure we'll talk about that later.
Spoiler alert for the news segment.
But I mean, it does sort of look like something that scratch that itch. But I've still got plenty of stuff to do in
that itch. It scratches that itch, Bully. I can confirm.
I've still got plenty of stuff to do in Vampire Survivors with all the DLCs and all that sort of stuff that I occasionally.
And you thought Unky was borderline for making a reappearance on the show. If you keep talking like this about Vampire Survivors, buddy, you're going to find yourself in the penalty box.
Oh, no, I love it. It's one of those games that it's similar to what we're talking about with Everybody's Golf. I jump into it, have 1 or 2 games, and then bounce out, and then a month later I'll come back in. It's not something that
I am 200 hours in, Bully, and I will hear no disrespect.
Oh, there's no disrespect. It's just not something that I can sit there for 10, 15 hours and play. It's a
fair enough.
One game, bounce in, bounce out, and then come back to it at a later stage. So I've still got plenty to do in that. I don't know whether this has probably got enough in it to drag me away from completing and pushing through that.
If I hadn't platinumed and gotten every DLC achievement and trophy for Vampire Survivors, I would never have left it. But being that I've mopped all that up, I'm keen for something else.
No, fair enough. If you're looking for something else in that style, it certainly does look it.
It does, and obviously it's a vastly superior 3D graphic art style. So if for some reason the Vampire Survivors holdback for you was the art style, I would say definitely check this game out. But if you're just a fan of the gameplay and you're looking for more trophies or achievements, I say fire this one up. Bully, let's crack over to Cold. What do you got for us this week?
Well, the case we're going to crack is the Resident Evil 2 remake that came out a couple of years ago. There was a PS4.
Come on, Bully, do it properly. Say it properly. How's the title sound?
Resident Evil. And there's a PS5 version as well, so you can play it on both systems. And the reason I got back into this is primarily exactly what I was talking about before with Silent Hill F. Is it wasn't really grabbing me in the way that Resident Evil. The Resident Evil series does. I just find that the way that they've set it up, the Silent Hill games, you sort of got to work your way into the action a little bit. Like I said, you spend the first probably half an hour avoiding, the creatures and all the rest of it, and then you get a melee weapon and you got to work your way through that. And whereas Resident Evil, off the bat, you've got a gun and you just start shooting. You're straight into the action. Yes, there's the puzzle solving and you got to work your way through. In this particular game, the opening area of the police station that you've got to work your way through the puzzles and all that sort of stuff. But you're really jumping into that action straight away. And, even the fact that it's a PS4 game that's, been moved over to a PS5 version, it still looks incredible. Like we're talking about a game that's 5-6 years old. It still looks amazing. And I'd say it holds a candle to Silent Hill F, which is a brand new release in terms of, how it looks graphically, the sound design and the environments and all that sort of stuff. So, jump back into that and was punching through one of those campaigns again and really enjoyed it and I didn't forget how much I enjoy Resident Evil, but it's one of those things that comparatively speaking, I enjoyed a lot more than what I do the Silent Hill games. And I know there's probably a small minority that really enjoy both, but I reckon for the most part, there's most people are either in one camp or the other. They're either Resi fans or Silent Hill
Resident Evil fan. I'm a Resident Evil fan.
Well, there you go. So might be that you don't put much more time into Silent Hill F either. I don't know. You might be jumping back into a 5 or 6 year old game as well. So yeah, jumped into that. Really enjoying it. It is what it is. It's a fantastic game in and of itself.
Tell me this, tell me this, Bully. Now, if memory serves, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Resident Evil 2 originally was one title, and I'm pretty sure I got the demo disc on a PS1 magazine back in 1994 or whatever the heck it was. And it was a 10-minute or maybe 15-minute limited demo. It was the opening of the game, and it was essentially just that you got into the bus, crawled your way through the bus, and pulled out the pistol and shot a few zombies, and that was it. But I think I played 50 times that opening 10 minutes of the game. Does that sound right to you? So did you go hands-on with it back in the day?
I can't remember ever going hands-on with the demo, to be honest with you. It was one of those things. I don't think I ever really bought the magazine. So, I don't know. Can't really speak to that. I just went and bought the games.
Fair enough. Yep. Does it start with a bus though? Before you get to the police station, you have to work your way through a bus, and there's a couple of zombies popping out. Am I remembering that at least correctly?
If the play is clear, it does. But I started this one with
Leon.
Leon.
Oh, Chris. Oh, I don't know. We need Unky.
Leon, because it's Claire Redfield. It's not Chris Redfield.
Doesn't Unky have Chris on one breast tattooed and Leon on the other, and they're both pointing their pistols at each other? If we get his top off, I think we see that. Well, if we ever see him
back on the show, we'll have to get him back with the shirt off, rather than just the pipes out. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the game itself, it still holds up really well, and you can get it pretty much dirt cheap these days, especially with the multitude of sales that go on the PlayStation Store at the moment. So if you haven't jumped into it, well worth having a look at.
Fantastic game. I love everything about it. The only thing I'd complain about, Bully, I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, there's no PSVR 2 first-person mode, is there? That's sorely missing.
No, I don't think so, because it's all played in third person.
No. Yeah. So that's the only thing that sucks about it. Awesome cold case, Bully, and massive 2 thumbs up. I'm not a fan of horror films or horror games, typically speaking. I love the Resident Evil series. Resident Evil 2 was what made me a believer in the franchise. I love the cold case, Bully. Excellent work. But tell me this, Bully. What's this week's?
Well, there was others on my list, but I knew I couldn't go past this one for you, so I'll let you fire away on the Battlefield 6.
What? About 26 hours from this very moment, we will have hands on the Battlefield 6. I've pre-ordered the, the Phantom Edition, I want to say. What I can't say is whether the Phantom Edition has given me early access or not, but it was definitely about an hour and 1 day, 6 hours from my ability. I could install it now, but I won't, obviously. I'll wait to do the Let's Install on the channel. But I played the beta, I think, I don't even know. It was just under 30 hours, maybe 26, 28 hours I put into the beta over a couple of weekends. Loved everything about it. Their new destruction engine is phenomenal. The way the buildings collapse around you. They've gone back a little bit, like 1 or 2 games, to the class system. So now only the medics can pull out the defibs and boom, and bring you back. They've really adhered to those 4 classic class modes. There's levels up, as you'd expect. I think I earned 20. I'm positive I earned 20 levels during the beta period, but I'm pretty sure that those 20 levels carry over. So in call it 30 hours, maybe 28 hours from now, I'll be able to go hands-on with the full release, and those 20 levels carry over. So I'm just going to be in there. I'm going to be pounding noobs, Bully. I'm going to be pounding noobs in Conquest mode. I don't camp. You know me. I don't camp. I'm just going to be running up on fools, jumping off buildings, shooting a few dudes. I'm going to be throwing my C4 packages on the front of my vehicle and then riding headlong towards a tank, bouncing out at the last second and then detonating right as the car hits. Man, do I love the destructive elements of Battlefield 6. This game is phenomenal. The beta knocked it out of the park. There's no reason to believe that the multiplayer won't be everything I want and well worth the money. Plus, there's a single player campaign. They released a trailer for it a week or 2 ago, and that's got me excited as well. Typically, if it's not Battlefield Bad Company, I'm not interested in their single player campaign, but the trailer for this year's or Battlefield 6's single-player campaign looked interesting enough that I'll fire it up. But honestly, you're going to be working really hard to get me off that Conquest mode, bully. That's where I live and breathe. Conquest mode, 128 players, online, multiplayer. Woo! I cannot wait. Bring it to me now. Saturday morning, 2 a.m. I'm going to be fired up. Bully, any thoughts?
Isn't it? I thought it was out tomorrow, as in midnight our time.
No, it's not. Unfortunately, it's not 3 or 4 hours away. I promise you, it's like, you know, I think it's either 1 or 2 a.m. Saturday for us.
Oh,
I know. I'm sad. I'll be drying my tears for the next few hours, but then it'll be live and I'll be all about it.
It shows you how much interest I've got in this. I haven't even looked at it.
It'll be live on the channel.
I'm almost certain you could go to the shops and buy it physically tomorrow.
Well, that may be the case, bully, but the online action's where it's at, and they won't have the service turned on. It'll be a global thing. Oh, bully, do me a massive favor and vamp for like 20 seconds. I've got to grab a prop. Talk to the people, bully. I'll be right back.
Oh, go. You are right, though. It does say on the PS Store 2 a.m. on the 11th of the 10th. But I'm almost certain if I duck into one of the online game stores in Australia, you were right. So I'll just saying the PlayStation Store has it at 2 a.m. on Saturday, the 11th, our time. So having said that, just jumping on to, so you might be able to get a head start on
single player.
Yeah, tomorrow morning you can go to the shops and buy it.
Who would buy anything physically these days, bully? Honestly,
this guy.
If I had more money, I'd do both.
Except Battlefield 6.
Oh, don't be like that. But bully, check this out. Cast your eyes camera side. I have my flight stick ready. PlayStation logo. I didn't get a chance to try it out in the beta, but honestly, if I can be in the bloody helicopter, woo, shooting, fighting with the flight stick, no one's going to be able to stop me. I'm going to get a bunch of reports that I'm hacking because I'm killing so many people so quickly, but no. It'll just because of my awesome decades worth of Battlefield skills coming to the fore, bully. I cannot wait for this release. This is, without a doubt, your best, most wanted selection ever, sir. Shall we kick it in the newsroom door?
Kick it in.
Has the right to remain newsworthy this week.
Well, a couple of we missed out on with the Tokyo Game Show because we weren't here last week. But one that really caught my eye was this one was Parasite Mutant, which is not really trying to hide its roots in a sort of spiritual follow-up to Parasite Eve. I'm not sure if you remember, it was a PS1 game. I really enjoyed it.
Was that also PC? I feel like I played that on PC back in the day.
Not sure if it was. I know I played 1 and 2 on the PS1 for both the Parasite Eve games, but I really enjoyed it. It was like it had a bit of a different story, but it almost had a very similar or a crossover between Dino Crisis and Resident Evil. It had that sort of gameplay element to it, a bit more fast-paced and action than Resident Evil was, but still had that sort of, static camera moving down the corridor feel to it. But then it had a bit of...
Dare I say a little Kojima-esque?
Little Kojima-esque, yeah. Well, and it's funny, though, because it did have that sort of government conspiracy running in the background and all that sort of stuff, which made it, really intriguing, the story. So I'm surprised that we haven't got, remakes or at least released in some way, shape or form over the last sort of 20 years, because I think they were relatively, if not at the time, they're certainly, cult classics going forward. So the fact that we're now potentially getting a game along that sort of vein in Parasite Eve would certainly be very intriguing to see how that plays out.
I love everything about it, mate. I can't wait to go hands-on. I recall going hands... Did you just say, and I'm sorry, I'm blanking, was it like 93, 94? When was the first one out?
No, it was a PS1 game, so it was 90, I'm going to say 97, 98.
Okay, well, it's been that long since I played it, so I'm a little hazy on it, but it looks like something straight out Wuhan for me, and I'm keen to go hands-on and destroy these parasites. Bully, do we have anything for game number 2?
Do we have any? No, we've just got some refunds on my credit card. So the big news that came out last week, and I thought it'd be remiss if we didn't at least cover it off, given that we've mentioned it a couple of times already, games being on Game Pass, the 50% increase. So I don't know what in different, guises it is going up. I know in Australia it's going from like $18 or something, $19 a month to $35 a month, which is.
Can I pitch it to you this way? It went from affordable to totally fucking unaffordable.
Yeah, I sort of look at it now and I go, well, if you at $35 a month,
forget about it.
You're looking at the better part. So what's it, $420 odd a year?
Forget about it.
I couldn't tell you, and I've said this to you a couple of times. I couldn't tell you the last time I personally have turned the Xbox on. I know the kids play some of the games on Game Pass there, but they only play a handful of them. And at $420, I sort of look at it and go, okay, well, I'm better off just buying those games on sale for a cheap price because they're older games that they like to play, and then just moving on.
And how many of the games would you rather play on PlayStation 5, PS5 Pro with the Edge controller than the fucking Xbox? It's insane.
Especially that a lot of their first-party games or traditional first-party exclusives are now all coming to PlayStation anyway. And the prime example of that is Indiana Jones. I remember, this time last year, or December last year, when it came out on Game Pass, and I reckon I put maybe 5 hours into it, and then thought, I've seen enough. I really enjoy it. I'm not going any further. I'll wait till it comes out on the PlayStation. I'll play through it and get the platinum on it. So, that's one of them.
Furthermore to that, mate, Call of Duty. I love me some Call of Duty. I know you're partial as well. But I never even finished the campaign, be it on PlayStation or Xbox. I played it on Xbox, within Game Pass. But I picked it up and paid full price for it on PlayStation. And that's where I play it. And I'm not even playing the single player. I'm just playing the multiplayer. Honestly, I'm just playing the Nuketown map in multiplayer, and I'm willing to give them the, what is it, 80, 90, $100, whatever it is, for the game. And I would rather pay them $100 on PlayStation and let me just play Nuketown over and over and over again than pay for some subscription service on Xbox, which, to your point, I rarely fire up. It's crazy. I don't know what they're doing.
I mean, and you can roll them out. Like we had Forza Horizon earlier this year, came out on PlayStation 5. I picked it up on that after having put a little bit of time into it on Xbox. I don't really understand why they're going down this path. Like it's almost a death knell for the system itself. And then,
it's almost like they want to get rid of Xbox Game Pass altogether. This was a mistake. Let's just price it out of everyone.
Price everyone out and then just
quietly kill it.
Look, it may well be. I know over the last 6 or 12 months, it was sort of becoming more and more obvious that they were heading down the path of becoming a games developer, given that they were putting all their stuff on PlayStation and
publisher.
PC. Publisher. Sorry. So they've got obviously their studios and just punching stuff out on other platforms, and that their machine would sort of die off eventually after this generation or potentially the next. But I think this is just hastening along. They might just be looking at it and go, we're not even going to look at a next gen console at this point.
No.
We'll just keep running the Series X and S as long as we can, and just keep moving over to the other platforms and making our money there.
I feel like we're watching a farmer drag a Labrador out the back of his farmhouse and just putting 9 mils straight in the back of its skull. Like, this is horrific. I'm offended by what I'm seeing here, Bully.
Well, and the other part I saw was that the Game Pass website on the day that they announced this actually crashed because of the amount of people that were trying to get on it and cancel their subscription. So
were they trying to cancel their subscription or just do the GIF emote of somebody teabagging a downed player?
Oh, well, Xbox is the damn player at this point.
Yeah, that's what I'm
saying. So I don't know. And I've sort of even had a look at it and thought, there's various tiers available. So I looked at
tiers. I've got plenty of tiers for you over these.
Well, they've got, so the ultimate is what we currently have is gone up that 50%. I mean, everything's gone up, but they've now got a premium version, which is the middle tier. But what they're saying with that is that they will get they will get game releases within a year rather than day one, but that's excluding Call of Duty. So
why are they killing Lassie Bully?
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how long you wait. You're never gonna. If you are relying on Game Pass to play Call of Duty, they've killed it off with that. You're never going to get a Call of Duty on Game Pass unless you're getting maybe last year's version or something. I don't know.
Let me pitch it to you this way and ask you the question: if you had never played video games before, you're coming fresh to the video game landscape. What is the appeal of Game Pass to as a brand new gamer? Someone with no history in gaming, no affiliation to consoles or, long-term franchises. What is the appeal at this stage of Game Pass?
Well, my thing was, it was even as a newcomer or someone that's been playing for years, the appeal has always been that you could jump in and try all these games that you would probably never play otherwise.
So what is it now?
Well, it's still there to some degree, but you're paying through the nose for it. So
and 12 months delayed.
Yeah, and if you go at the middle tier, so if you stay at that top tier, which is I think it's $30 US or 35 Australian.
I think you also need to own a yacht and frequently eat caviar on that yacht in order to be on that top tier.
Yeah, I don't understand the reasoning behind it. I just don't. I don't get where they're coming from. The few Xbox games that I might have been interested in anyway are coming to PlayStation. So I just sort of look at it and go, well, I'll just spend my money there, and PlayStation can take the rip out of that. So
I'll save up my canapes on the yacht before I go for Xbox Game Pass top tier.
Yeah, I think the other thing, and this is where I find it funny, is that they're trying to sell it that you're getting
ripped off,
Ubisoft
taken to the bank.
Well, you're getting Ubisoft games thrown in there as well, as there was one other service, but you can get that through PlayStation at a much lower price. So again, I don't really see that as a selling point. So I really don't know where they're going with this.
It's the best ad for a PlayStation 5 I've ever seen.
Well, other than what you said is potentially they've realised that we've tried this as long as we can. It's not really generating nearly as much money or interest in the Xbox consoles as we thought. How do we get rid of it without destroying the customer base in terms of starting to remove games off or not have them day one that we promised? The only way to do it is jack the price, get people sick of it, reduce the amount, and then go, okay, now we're killing it and nobody cares because there's so few subscribers left.
Honestly, I would have respected them more if they had just taken us out the back and shot us in the back of the head. This to me just feels like, what, you're cutting off my legs so I bleed to death slowly over the next 12 months?
Well,
Get me out of my misery. One in the back of the head. Bam.
I would have gone the other way and just said I would have respected it more if they had come out and said, look, it's not playing out the way we thought. We can't put day one games on here anymore. We can't put Call of Duty on here anymore. It's going to stay at that same price that it's currently at, but there's going to be a delay with day one games, and especially some of the bigger games, i.e. Call of Duty, are not going to be on the service. They're going to be available for purchase, but they're not going to be on the service. Other games that are probably the first in a franchise or some lower tier games will come day one, but certainly not the big
You're right.
The big ones like Call of Duty.
I would have respected that a lot more. Let's move on to something I do respect a little more, Bully. News Story 3.
Well, News Story 3, and this came out, I had to throw it in there, and you've mentioned you've sort of moved on from it, but there is a online co-op mode coming to Vampire Survivors. So,
Bully, do you need any help getting that platinum? I am your man. I know I'm typically shit at multiplayer games and helping anybody, but this game, I can help you, sir.
Well, I'll have to check out first whether your attacks can kill me or damage me, because if that's the case, then no.
That is totally fair, mate. That is
we might have to revisit, but certainly, it's a fantastic game. We both raved about it in the past. You love it, I love it. But
love it. I almost left my wife for it.
The only negative I see to this is why it's taken them so long. Like it's a 3.5-year-old game. They've had a whole bunch of DLCs that came out in 23 and 24, and then 12 months later, once sort of the hype's died down on it, they then released the co-op mode for it. I sort of thought, well, shouldn't this have come out 12, 18 months, 2 years ago?
If I can offer a little defense.
Shoot.
The original release. Now, this was on Steam pre-console. The original release was all one developer, fresh out of uni. This was his uni project, solo developer, launched it on Steam, very much in a very similar format to it is now. But then he pulled on one developer to do it on Xbox, and he pulled on an additional developer to release it on PlayStation. So it's an incredibly small team. But to your point, they've raked in squillions of dollars because of the huge success. So, yes, they could put on a team of people and ramp this up a lot quicker. But I also respect the fact that they're a small team and they don't just want to go guns a-blazing. I respect it. I understand where they're coming from, and I'll give them plenty of leeway. They have made a phenomenal game.
Oh, I suppose it's probably coming out as critical, whereas it's not being critical. I understand the position they're coming from. I just sort of think, 3 years down the track, have they missed the boat, I guess, with drawing I know it was an exceptionally popular game when it did come out, and maybe it's one of those things that it's just to draw people back in or get new people into it that might not have been into it or whatever it is. But I get all that, but I just sort of think, maybe have they missed the boat a little bit, I suppose.
With games like Deep Rock Galactic coming out, or Deep Rock Galactic Survivor, thank you for the correction. But there's a few other games that are coming out. What was it? Brotato was also another one, like a Vampire Survivors clone that very much just move and will auto shoot, and there's upgrades and 5 chests, and Troy's brain goes crazy excited for it. Like, there's games out there doing that now, but Vampire Survivors was the original and the best, and I give these guys plenty of leeway, and just take your time, guys. Do what you think's right. So I have no objection for them taking this time, and I just say, you give me more features, as long as you're giving me more achievements or trophies to earn on the back of them, 2 thumbs up, let's roll.
Well, there you go.
Can't wait.
There might be some co-op trophies for you. You'll have to go and check it out. I think it's...
If there is bully, I'm going to have to rope you in, even if there is friendly fire bully. I've got to earn those achievements.
Well, I'm just having a look now. I can't see where the release date is, so I might have to do a bit more digging for that. But it says more announcements coming out in the next couple of weeks.
Perfect. I love everything about it. If nothing else, it'll be December. The Keatleys, I'm sure we'll get a big drop there, because correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the original console release for this was at the Keatleys many years ago. Bully, that is it for the news segment, my friend, which brings us through to audience interrogation. What's been happening in that there YouTube chat?
A bit of back and forth with Tigaro again tonight. So he was backing up there. So the demo for Resi Evil was on a PlayStation magazine, which had the demo disc, and it was a classic.
Was it through a bus? Was there a bus? I'm sure there was a bus.
He didn't mention, but he is backing you up on it. It is there.
Cheers,
he
Garo.
is having a bit of a crack at Xbox as well over their extravagant lifestyle.
He didn't want to take out 2 more mortgages to continue subscribing to their highest
White
tier.
Truffles, the Dom Perignon, all the rest of it. So it was a nice.
He's on the yacht. Let's go, Tagaro.
It was a nice little conversation going until he reminded me that he barracks for Brisbane, who defeated my Geelong Cats in the grand final, and that was the end of our conversation. And I'm ready to move on.
Yeah, so you deleted him from the chat. Excellent. All right, guys, that'll do it for this week. Bully. Oh, well, Unky, we're missing you in that second slot. But Bully, thank you very much for joining us and holding us up in that third slot all evening, my friend. Great work. Thank you, sir.
Pleasure as always.
We are off. Someone may have hit a wrong button, but don't worry about that. Bully, the final question for the evening, sir. What else could you do with Geek Aloud?
Like and subscribe it, you'll never miss it.
Oh, that was luck.
Hey, that's something.
Oh!
Players play.
Old Uncle Donkey.